It really makes it look so good and presentable. Wow, it seems Samsung is investing a significant amount in research and development investment. Now, if you consider people doing these kinds of things, isn't that really amazing? Oh, there are sections that create charts like this. So then, which specific companies are impacted in certain areas? This is an error. We call it an AI wrapper. They don't develop the foundational models themselves, but rather they utilize those existing foundational models and then bring them in to provide enhanced and superior services. Various companies that are doing this, particularly here in our country, are often not considered to be genuine AI engineers. There is some discussion that they are not truly engaged in AI research, but despite that, companies such as Cursor AI and this Perplexity, which you are currently observing, are making a significant strategic move and are successfully attracting a large number of subscribers. What I'm going to be introducing to you today is directly related to this Perplexity Finance. As you may have already seen and are aware, Perplexity is indeed offering services that are quite similar to those provided by major platforms, covering areas such as economics, the stock market, the bond market, and even the cryptocurrency market. When you look at these contents, it's translated as upcoming earnings, which is earnings, right? Earnings. The content is related to earnings announcements, and these are well organized. It's a good idea to check out each feature, especially considering that this function was first introduced in October of 2024 and has been available since then. Now you can access all the data you want from the SEC, which is the US Securities and Exchange Commission. In Korea, this would involve financial statements, including things like earnings announcements, detailed financial statements, operating profit figures, sales data, and cash flow statements. Now you have the capability to directly inquire about all these specific details right here. This feature is now fully available for all Perplexity users to utilize. I will provide a quick demonstration of how to use it and then offer a concise summary. And let's hear some thoughts on whether Perplexity's approach to bringing people together can genuinely be a dominant strategy for AI services. First, I'm going to ask a question about this. From NVIDIA's financial statements, what should investors be aware of at this point based on any notable details? So if you ask about the data that comes from here, specifically NVIDIA Corporation, what kind of information is displayed? It means it provides information based on the data found in the SEC filings. In fact, many people, myself included, have really worked hard to analyze these financial statements from the SEC in the United States. I have studied them before, actually. But even if you study and acquire the knowledge to comprehend this, it's genuinely quite challenging to consistently review and monitor it, and that scenario frequently arises. However, now artificial intelligence is designed to handle this task autonomously on your behalf. It even shows the sources for all of this, and it organizes the content in this particular manner. It can highlight the key points and make judgments on its own. So how do you do this? So, you can go to a brand new chat and click on the source for your search, and right here you'll find the finance section. In the English version it's called finance, but here it's translated as J1. Search SEC submissions. Turn this on. Ah, good, right? And please add this too. In the lab, if you add this feature, you can convert it into completed documents, slides, dashboards, and so on. Okay, so once that's activated, you can then ask questions about US stocks that you're interested in, because the SEC information is based on the US government's data. So what exactly did I end up doing? Since I wasn't sure what kinds of questions I should be asking, I actually went ahead and asked Gemini for some guidance on how to formulate those questions. You can see it displayed right here, correct? Okay, so by utilizing this particular feature, you can actually search and analyze data that was previously quite challenging to access. Given that many investors have been visiting our channel lately, I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce this valuable tool to all of you. How do you ask about information that was hard to access or took a lot of time? Just use the prompt like this and wow, it truly analyzes and provides you with some remarkably great results. For example, if you analyze a specific industry or competitors, you can look at the top 5 R&D investment trends in the semiconductor industry over the past 5 years based on SEC filings, 10K and 10Q data, and compare each company's investment strategies. Let me try this. Then, while sorting the data in laboratory mode, you can observe how the data is collected and assembled to generate the project. And you'll be able to see what kind of searches are done at each stage, shown as those intermediate steps. So, right now you can see all the information that I'm gathering, and you'll notice how the SEC filings are being displayed. So you can see the diligent translation process underway, and if you happen to have any questions about a particular company or a specific industry sector, it's actually a really excellent and useful tip to simply ask the AI to go ahead and generate the appropriate prompt for you. Also, when discussing the timelines and funding situations for a specific industry over the past few years, you don't necessarily need to write down all the details such as SEC filings, 10Ks and 10Qs, because we might not know all the specifics. I've tested this multiple times and found that to be the case. Or if you're wondering whether a particular company is genuinely financially healthy and you're unsure which specific report to consult, you can simply ask the AI. In fact, you can actually obtain advice on how to invest in stocks, including how to invest in US invest stocks by utilizing models like Gemini and Foundation. So, what exactly should you be looking for when examining the cash flow statement? Now, it might be difficult to ask about absolutely everything, but for those who have some prior background knowledge, the things I'm talking about will likely make things much smoother. It's possible that many of you are already actively utilizing these particular insights. But naturally, I am presently utilizing Gemini Ultra. However, even without employing Ultra, you can still generate prompts in this fashion to access the information you're looking for or gain insights for your choices. This capacity is truly quite remarkable, wouldn't you say? That is the viewpoint from which I am discussing this matter. Just like in-depth research, Perplexity also analyzes diligently at an intermediate level. It generates content, then re-examines the intermediate processes, letting you observe the various stages of the information. So using this as a foundation, you can collect data and prepare presentations. Speaking of popular tools among developers like Cursor AI and building foundation models, well, Gemini 2.0 Pro was recently released, right? It's also known to have been updated, and there are discussions about OpenAI releasing their inference models, such as the O3 Pro and Anthropic's Claude. Building these kinds of foundation models truly requires a very significant amount of investment, you see. However, not everyone possesses the capability to undertake such endeavors. Consequently, when considering the provision of this service, particularly in the context of developing an AI application, let's consider the app ecosystem. For instance, if you aspire to create a map-based restaurant discovery service, akin to those offered by companies like Naver or Kakao, which necessitate substantial financial commitments, such as the extensive process of capturing street-level imagery, is there any individual app developer who would realistically make such a colossal investment? The answer is clearly no. Instead, you simply need to make calls to the relevant API. However, particularly with regard to AI, there seems to be a somewhat dismissive sentiment, referring to it as merely wrapper technology. There is some criticism that instead of truly advancing AI academically or working on the development of AI itself, the focus has primarily been placed on these types of service-oriented applications. However, from a user's perspective, it's about how well they can actually use it. Regardless of how well a foundation model is constructed, what I genuinely require is precise financial data pertaining to American stocks and its ability to furnish that information. These are the sorts of things that existing tools cannot really handle, so companies providing these services are quite able to cover that gap. And the reason Perplexity is investing so incredibly aggressively is that each time they make an API call, it incurs significant costs, and because they haven't yet built their own LLM, they're essentially paying for tokens. This extensive expansion really demonstrates their clear ambition to develop and grow into a full-fledged platform. So that's the way you should understand the situation. Based on these factual details, Perplexity is actually quite well known for summarizing existing information effectively. But when I look at these things, I really start to question whether it's truly necessary to refer to summaries or articles from stock analysts in today's environment. Perhaps by leveraging the capabilities of artificial intelligence, we could summarize things or extract only the specific information we need to gain a better understanding. And you could easily scrape all this information and then ask Gemini or perhaps even ChatGPT, what exactly does this signify? So, put simply, you're essentially entrusting your entire thought process to AI, and you pose every question to it. If the AI provides answers, you inquire about all of them. Of course, I'm not suggesting that simply following this information to make investments in stocks or bonds, or to engage in any kind of financial planning, will automatically guarantee you are on the correct path. However, a great many individuals are dedicating a significant amount of their time to analyze this fundamental information and these various kinds of content. However, considering how AI is transforming the methods we use for analysis, utilization, and learning, especially in terms of investment approaches, the information that can be searched using the SEC finance materials as a foundation this time around appears to be extremely beneficial and useful, providing significant assistance. I had incorporated various functionalities into the lab earlier, and observe how beautifully it has materialized. Wow, Samsung is investing quite a bit in research and development. I guess nothing can be done. Since there is this memory capacity, these investments are being made, and this was compiled based on data from the year 2014. Broadcom is investing significantly in R&D for growth. Analyzing things like growth rates was also quite interesting to see. All of these details are based on the information that was already available. I'm showing you TSMC based on this photo, but if you consider a person doing all these tasks, it's just incredibly overwhelming, wouldn't you agree? It would require an enormous amount of time to do this, but there's a file that was generated here with the exact parts I desire. So there's a CSV file right here that actually creates tables like this for you. So, which particular companies are influenced in specific areas? Wow. It even analyzes the impact to this extent. Oh, there's an interesting chart here. The vertical axis is growth rate, horizontal is research and development investment. The really key point here is that anyone, literally anyone, can now generate this kind of advanced information. Additional questions have been generated here so you can ask more questions. Perplexity supports these securities details. Starting with the lab here, you can use it along with the diagram content. What do you refer to? The financial content. That's how you do it. And is that everything? If you want to hear social opinions, you can specifically search within social platforms. Perplexity specifically offers these specialized AI services, and all pro users can access them. But is this an unrivaled technology unique to Perplexity? Some individuals might express the opinion, perhaps those who don't highly regard the technology, by saying, isn't this something that anyone could easily accomplish if they simply secured the necessary contract? They might criticize it from that perspective. From that particular viewpoint, I personally don't think it's an ability that is solely unique to Perplexity. Nevertheless, Perplexity is expanding its role as an AI search engine and platform that's effectively replacing traditional search methods, and even if the underlying technology is easy to replicate, if it's rapidly supplied and becomes widely adopted, and a large number of people start utilizing Perplexity, then you absolutely cannot afford to ignore the significance and influence of the platform itself. Looking back now, KakaoTalk's SNS feature, that KakaoTalk SNS function, wasn't something others absolutely couldn't replicate, was it? It wasn't performing some incredibly unique social media capability that others could never achieve. However, it was the first to capture the market and establish itself as a platform, and by merging with Daum, it grew into a significant IT group in our country. Wouldn't you agree? In a similar vein, within the platform landscape, even if an AI service doesn't build a foundational model itself, if it possesses the capability to truly resonate with users and evolve into a platform extensively utilized by a large number of individuals, then from that standpoint, it certainly has the potential to emerge as a significant new contender in the current era of artificial intelligence. That's the perspective I aim to encapsulate and present here. We are still uploading content in English on the Unreal Tech channel, so please feel free to introduce it to anyone who is more comfortable with the English language. We're also sharing brief and entertaining updates on Instagram, so please feel free to check out the videos we don't often post on YouTube and get those quick news updates there as well. This has been Aaron.